निर्वेद ओडिशा को सब्सक्राइब करंतु आउ बेल आइकन को दबांतु आउ पांतु नवा वीडियो अपडेट्स जता शीघ्र।
Jai Bhim, and I would like to present my revolutionary regards to Fraternity College of Engineering Trivandrum, and I would like to say that let's celebrate this 129th birth anniversary of Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar, while remember his legacy of fighting against injustice, fighting against Brahminism, casteism and capitalism, patriarchy, and also let's remember this his idea of a good society, a society based on liberty, equality and fraternity. So before I speak on Ambedkar, Babasaheb Ambedkar, let me start with a question, that how do I know Ambedkar, Babasaheb Ambedkar? How do we know Babasaheb Ambedkar? How do we come to know Babasaheb Ambedkar actually? Like many of Keralites like us might not have heard Babasaheb Ambedkar some years back. And why is that so? Why is that so? I came to know Babasaheb Ambedkar while I was studying graduation. So it was not which university education or school education which taught me Babasaheb Ambedkar, his ideas of democracy, liberty, equality and justice, but it was Dalit movement which taught me Babasaheb Ambedkar idea of a good society which should be based on liberty, equality, fraternity and justice. And it is thanks to that community, only one community, that is Dalit community, who has taken that pain of sustaining his legacy, who has taken that legacy of fighting against caste injustices in this very country. So I would like I would like to start this talk with Babasaheb Ambedkar, how he has started his activism towards creating an ideal society which all of us striving for. When Babasaheb was studying in abroad, after coming to India, then his first writing was on caste. He presented a seminal paper called Caste and its Origin, Genesis and Development. So one of the first pillar of his activism was writing, and it is literary activism which Babasaheb started with a hope, and he understood why we need a literary activism or a literary revolution in India. Indian society, or what you call this Brahminical society, did not allow majority of its population to get education, and because of that exclusion from education, the majority community have denied in producing knowledge system, and that's why it is importance of education come up. You have monopolized, the Brahmins in India have monopolized over education, and they have produced their own kind of knowledge, and that's what majority Indian consume today. And in order to challenge that, we must strive for that literary activism to build a consciousness among people, to build a public opinion. We need that kind of literary activism which Babasaheb have started. When he came to India, he started Bahiskrit Hitakaran Sabha, then Muk Nayak, the voice of the voiceless, and the outcast, Janata, the people. So he has started the series of newspaper, journal, and all kind of if you see, go through his writing and speeches, he has exposed all this Brahminical text, Brahminical ideology, ideas which perpetuate caste in the name of religion, in the name of Shastra, in the name of Purana. So Babasaheb has exposed all kinds of those hypocrisy. So this one of the important pillar we need to remember when we're talking about Ambedkar is that is the literary activism. And the second important point which I'd like to bring is that the kind of social protection which he had visualized. Now, if we will go through the current scenario in Indian society, like the rampant lynching against Dalit, Muslim, OBC in Indian society prove that there is no social protection for the people community from deprived community. So like we are seeing the series of lynching, then Islamophobic attack on Muslim, then their riots against Christian, and atrocity across India against SC and ST. So this kind of atrocity, lynching, riots is so rampant that we need to visualize that how to check that atrocities, how to check that lynching. We don't have social protection. Now the state is composed of majority of the Brahmins, majority of Savarna, and state institution have been occupied by these caste groups. So like how can we expect that people from Savarna community will defend our rights, protect us from tyranny of Savarna, protect from the tyranny of caste and Islamophobic violence? So the believing that the upper caste state will protect us is one of the fallacy which we need to denounce actually. And that's what when we read Babasaheb Ambedkar, or when we try to understand his legacy, he started this Samata Sainik Dal. We can translate it as an army of equality or force of equality. So this Samata Sainik Dal was meant for protection of Dalit community from the violence of upper caste, from the violence of Savarna Hindus. So Babasaheb has already visualized that state has least minimum to say least interest to protecting its minority community in India. Therefore, we need to have, while seeing the current scenario, we need to have our own protection mechanism, and which is only we can bring through this idea that how we can protect ourselves from the violence. And it was the second things which I was speaking about. Now let me come to the third important aspect of Babasaheb activism and fighting the Brahminism which he was fighting, or this Savarna empire, or the Brahmins empire he was fighting. And that is in electoral front, and how he fought. The starting from his labor activism to Scheduled Caste Federation, his independent Labour Party, to the Scheduled Caste Federations, then Republican Party of India. Now he has like experimented many ideas and many political parties to bring a larger front to fight this empire called this Brahminism or Hindu empire, whatever you said, Savarna empire or Hindu empire. That's what he was fighting for. And like many times, this Congress and the so-called left, we see today they are proclaiming, or today they are claiming that all kind of legacy of liberty, equality and justice in their name. It's like that Indian left has fought for those rights and fought for those ideal, but it was never been in the case in whole Indian history, or if you say in modern Indian history. It was the people, it was the marginalized people, it was the people from Bahujan communities who have fought to establish democracy in India. And it is the Savarna communities who have always stood against the democratic ideals of liberty, equality, and justice, and always tried to establish society based on injustice and based on inegalitarianism, and always stood against the constitutional ethos, constitutional morality. And that's where now we need to build, we need to have that kind of solidarity across communities. Without having that kind of strong solidarity within the community or across the community who are facing the tyranny of Brahminism, we cannot sustain, and we cannot have that idea of a good society based on fraternity. Suppose, like, another important which aspect of Babasaheb Ambedkar legacy and Babasaheb Ambedkar movement is the constitutional activism. So Babasaheb understood the vulnerabilities of the marginalized community, and he understood the way which I was telling or narrating previously, that the state is least interest to present and preserve the right of the marginalized community. At the same time, Babasaheb understood that it is the only a democratic state, a constitutional state, which can present the interest of the marginalized communities. Because if you see Indian society, it's nothing but the conglomeration of the caste. That's what Babasaheb said. It is the conglomeration of caste based on degraded inequality and hierarchy. So you cannot depend that society will protect your rights or protect your dignity or self-respect. It is a democratic state. It is the constitutional state which will preserve or which will keep the right for the oppressed or the marginalized community, which Babasaheb was stood for. And that's where our constitutional mechanism is most important to preserve these communities and their rights. And third and last important point which I would like to bring to your point is that the idea of conversion. Another strategy which Babasaheb have developed is that the cultural revolution. Like many of the left, so-called left, forget that in India there is a people have not only marginalized, they have enslaved through this culture, through the religion. And it is this idea of Shastra, Puranas, and all kind of this Brahminical culture which has imposed upon Dalit Bahujan community of India. And that's how the enslavement of majority of people took place. So this idea of conversion is to fight against that cultural hegemony of Brahmins and establish an egalitarian culture and religion. So Babasaheb had stood and understood, and that's why he gave very much importance to the idea of conversion. And how can a majority community which has been deprived because of a kind of religion can stay in that particular religion? We cannot stay in that hierarchical Brahminical religion which was meant to make us slave. So that's why Babasaheb said that, unfortunately, I am born as a Hindu, but I will never die as a Hindu. So that's what his message and strategy to fight against this Brahminical imperialistic state and culture. We need to fight all across the front, and that's what when we talk about cultural revolution, and that's the idea of that Bahujan cultural revolution should come, and we should strive for a egalitarian religion. And that's what we need to denounce that Brahminical religion which taught us to be a slave. And now this since the idea is that what would have been happen, or what if Babasaheb would have alive, what he would have done actually. That's what many of us ask that question. But is that question is appropriate? Now my question is that, I think more appropriate question would be, what can we do? Babasaheb is never going to become alive, or not any other revolutionary. neither Phule, neither Periyar, neither Ayodhidas, neither Ayappan. So no revolutionary is going to come live. So therefore, what we need is that we need to start our own activism, and that's what we need to start our own activism across the way. I was speaking about Babasaheb Ambedkar idea of activism, which is multi-level. It's dynamics. You cannot just hold on to one path. So that therefore, like, the problem with our intellectual class is that our intellectual class, in the sense those who try to understand the movement, they think that giving an intellectual analysis to a movement, they give intellectual analysis towards the movement and toward the people who are struggling to establish the idea of justice, and they believe that someone else would implement it. But how come you think something is important and you understood something is important, but you are not trying to act upon it, but try to think or believe that someone else would take that idea to fight? And that's not going to work actually. And that's what our idea, our responsibility is, that to take that, if we understand how social change to take place, then it is our responsibility to act upon it. And we need to work across the cultural front. It is not that in one particular place we will work, or in one particular language we will work. Rather, we should work across the geographical space, because, like, if you see the works of RSS, or if you see the works of BJP, the right-wing politics, they work in the ground, and not only in one particular place, but across villages, across group. They have wings, they have their organization. When we come to our activism, how many organization and how many institutions we have created for our people, our students? That is the question we need to bring forth. And that is why it is important to work. We need to create all kind of platform in all kind of languages across India to fight and to create a public opinion, to create a platform for our people. And also we need to build organization, we need to build institution to give space and hope for our students, and who are the future leader of the movement. For, like, once again, I would like to many of us, like, one last point which I would like to speak is that in Kerala, it is believed that since people believe that Ambedkar, like, people don't understand Ambedkar in Kerala, or anti-caste movement in Kerala. But I'm coming from Odisha, but here also it was a time, like, there was a time when there was no Ambedkar in Odisha also, and there was no Ambedkar in any other university. But after a consistent movement and the deliberate attempt of the Bahujan community students and Bahujan community people to take his legacy across the state, that's why today we come to know Babasaheb Ambedkar. It is the fighting. And of course, I believe that in Kerala also people will understand Babasaheb and his legacy to fight against this cultural hegemony, Brahminical hegemony, or what you say today is Savarna empire. And we will definitely fight against this Brahminical fascist state through our activism. Jai Bhim, Hol Juhar. And thanks to fraternity for giving me this opportunity to share my ideas with the students and the people of Kerala. Thank you. Jai Bhim.